Welcome, guys. Coaching with Chris. I got to tell you, I am really excited. I have Jonathan with me today. Not only is he the CEO of AIM, but also the CEO of Nextdoor. I don't even know how this guy does it. Like I see him everywhere. He's on everywhere. He's killing it, crushing it in both areas. So listen, please give me the support this guy needs. I mean, he is killing it. Jonathan, welcome to Coaching with Chris.
Thank you very much, brother. I really, really appreciate that introduction. You are always far too kind and got a ton of energy like myself.
I mean, I just got to figure out a way to do this shave thing that you do. I don't know if I don't have that gift, dude.
You know, it's funny. This is like the most it grows. So my dad, like none of it, we can't connect our beards. We can't do any of that. So I wanted a beard so bad growing up, and then it just never came to life. Never came to life.
I mean, hey, God makes us all a little bit different. Now,
Yes.
I know, look, before we get into mortgage and get into this talk, we would love to be able to have you guys chat up on the chat line. Where are you calling from and what company you're from? We love seeing that and love to be able to see like where our audience is. Also, please be sharing Coaching with Chris. You can watch it on or listen to it on Apple and Spotify and the different podcasts. I'm not very good at all that stuff, Jonathan, but like, look, share Coaching with Chris because we really want to get this out there to as many originators as possible. But you're much more than mortgage. Tell us about your family.
Yeah, yes, sir. So I have been in the space now for 11 years. I turn 33 on Sunday. Believe it or not, I just realized my birthday's coming up out of nowhere. I forgot, which is a good thing because it means you're busy. But I grew up first generation Middle Eastern American. My dad is from Syria. My mom is from Palestine. My dad moved to the country when he was 18 years old. My grandfather, he passed away before I was born, but he gave my dad basically all the money that they had. They were very, very poor, grew up in a mud hut. He never forgets to remind me that always. And he gave him all the money and said, go to America and figure it out. And when my dad got here, he landed and he literally kissed the floor and he got off the plane. That's a true story. So it's always funny because how much my dad cares about this country. It's just so deep. And it doesn't matter who's in office, regardless of your political views. My dad's the type of guy where you can't talk about, the president, regardless of who it is, because of his upbringing, because of what he saw back home. And so he's always instilled that in me growing up, right? Just that level of respect for people. And that's been a really big deal. My mom is my superhero. She is an absolute warrior, man. This woman is unbelievable. She had me at 18 years old, had my brother a year and a half later than my sister when she was 23. So she had 3 kids by the time she was 23. There's nothing she cannot do that she can't figure out. She is that kind of just superhuman. I'm not even gonna say superwoman because it's a superhuman for her. And my upbringing, it was really cool. My dad was one of the first ever Arabic singers in the country, believe it or not. And so he caught a lucky break when he was young. And then because of just being first generation and financial literacy, we ran into some trouble when we were much younger, and so had to help out and help take care of my family at a really young age. But it's really helped me be the human being I am today. So when you say like, how do you do this? How do you do that? Well, listen, I know what the other side looks like, and I'd rather be doing this every single step of the way. And I do not ever forget that perspective. So amazing family, married not too long ago. I have 2 twins. That would be twins. I have twins, a boy and a girl, Elias and Eliana. They turn 1 year old September 12th, which is the day of Fuse. And then my wife and I are expecting our 3rd baby girl the week of Thanksgiving, because why not keep adding more to our plate? So that's a bit me in a nutshell. Have a younger brother, younger sister, both huge inspirations for me. I mean, they've really helped keep me on track. Whenever I've gone down the deep end or gone down the wrong path, I really have them to bring me back to life. I believe that's why God put them in my corner, and they've been nothing but supportive of me every step of the way.
I've got to hang out with you a little bit, and I will tell you, I look forward to the opportunities when we get to hang out. But one of the things that I would love the viewers to learn about you is how much you really. I want to get through your career of AIM and Nextdoor and stuff, but like going back a little bit in your career, you're a mentor, and I think what really like moves me the most, Jonathan, is the way you talk about him. And then my connection, which was Saeed, who had the same mentor, who's a friend of mine in Michigan, and he's like, that was my mentor too. And I'm like, man, I would love to be somebody's mentor like that. And the passion that you have for him and the quotes and the sayings, like that relationship to you, what did that mean to you? And B, what do you think out of all of the things and all of the advice that he took you underneath his wing to give you, what was number one?
You're gonna make me emotional, which I
I
figured you would
know, I
do
know.
on
I'm
this call.
sorry.
No, I was actually just thinking about this, so I can tell you specifically. So he passed away from cancer. I bought 100 of these. It's been 6 years. I've never not had it on my wrist.
Hmm.
Literally, anytime it goes, starts to deteriorate, I just grab the next one. That's how impactful he was to me. He was the type of human being where he had so much money. He doesn't need to pour into other people. He was retired a few times. He never had to pour into me. I'm a college dropout. I'm first generation Middle Eastern American. I didn't like have advantages coming into this world like a lot of people don't, right? And my advantages were better than a lot because I was born in this country. Some people don't even have that as an advantage. And so for me, just going through life and having certain mentors like my dad, I love my dad, but there's certain things he just didn't learn, right? He didn't have the time to learn. He was focusing on developing himself here in America. And so to have a human being teach you the kind of things that he taught me about self-discipline, about work ethic, about how business actually operates, how to treat people right, how to have direct conversations with people when I disagree with them. It's just insane to me. And for me to screw up anything is such a shame to him because he didn't have to pour into me. And so I think about him a lot. And the biggest thing that he taught me, I'll never forget, I was probably 24 years old and I worked in retail and I worked at a very high capacity, right? I was a 100-hour a week kind of human being and I'm still that person. I know that's not for everybody. That's just something I enjoy. I truly enjoy it. It's not work. And I'll never forget, like, I'm not the type of guy that gives feedback through injection, as we used to call it, right? Where it's like, this is an injection type feedback. And I'm more like the pineapple conversation that you and I had many, many years ago, right? Where it's just like you gotta figure out what's going on and sweet and have more conversations. But I'll never forget I was getting hounded one day. My team, by the way, we're number one in the company. We're literally leading the charges. And I'm
Wow.
getting grilled by leadership. Like they're yelling at me, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, you got to get on them for this. I'm like, I'm number one. Like, I feel like what I'm doing is working. And he finally gave me the confidence one day. I tell him the story. I'm like, I'm just getting bashed on. These meetings are bothering me. He said, John, just because you don't do it their way doesn't mean your way is wrong. You know what they want you to do, right? I said, well, no. What do they want me to do? Defend why your way's right.
Yeah.
And it hit me so hard. And so I was in this room with a bunch of these executives, right? And people that are quote unquote in a higher leadership position than I was. And I'm sitting there just taking the feedback. It's not always feedback. Be comfortable. If you're finding success doing things the way you do them, tell people why your way also works. There's not one way to do something, but you have to also be able to articulate yourself and defend yourself in the event somebody is questioning it. And that's one of the biggest pieces that he gave me. It's that confidence that he instilled in me that, hey, I can go through this life doing it my way, but I better be damn sure I know how to articulate it and communicate that conversation to anybody that might be in a potential higher leadership role. And that helped my trajectory like you would not believe. And it's something I never forget to this day.
I think that's really good advice for all of us. Sometimes we get mad and then sometimes we don't think about, just like your mentor again, defend, but defend without emotion. Wouldn't you agree?
Uh,
Like so many people want to defend with all this emotion, and you're like, whoa, what's going on here? Let's stay into the facts.
that's one of the hardest things up front, especially being newer into leadership. Early on, I was very young. I was 22 when I got into leadership, and I was very stereotypical in terms of my hot-headedness. And you've met me. I'm a big guy, so I had to be careful about losing my temper because it's not something you want to see as a larger individual. And so, just learning how to read between the lines as well. Like when people challenge you, I think a lot of people they do take it personal,
Mhm.
but truly, if you just read between the lines, that you really can learn something. And on top of it, if you're that calm as you take feedback, people are less likely to give you feedback. A lot of times people are giving you feedback just to stir you up a bit. And when you learn to just, hey, you might be right in this instance, I appreciate that. You'd be surprised how often people start to pull it back. But focusing on that emotion is a super important thing that you have to do.
So we go through this, you transition, you open up your own company, you become a broker, you're uh next door's doing amazing, and you all of a sudden have this thing you're going to take over and become the CEO of AIM. And I think many of us, like I even asked myself for you, why would you do this?
If I tell you it's something I've wanted to do for God knows how long, I didn't know, when there would ever be some sort of opportunity. And then you potentially get an opportunity like this, you truly can't help people. The first 30 days were really rough. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm not like a human being. We were getting absolutely pummeled, right? Like just pummeled. And
You
the
personally
yeah,
were
me
being.
personally. And it's like, as crazy as this sounds, I crave that more than you could possibly imagine because it's one person at a time, right? Like my mentor taught me, I'll never forget. I did my first ever training. I think I told you this story. I did my first ever training. I was 22 years old. I was so excited. I was practicing. I was on YouTube watching videos, how to do trainings, how to do this. I'm thinking 1,000 people are showing up for John Haddad. I walk into the room, 3 people are there, 3. And all of a sudden, I just get deflated. I'll never forget the feeling. I'm like, oh God, here we go. 3 people, great. So I go through, I do the training. Okay, here you go. Here's how you do this. Here's how you present. I go back. He walks over to me, has this big smile on his face. He's like, how'd it go? I didn't go so well. What? What do you mean? Come here. Pulls me into an office. So what happened? I said, well, 3 people showed up. And you ever have that person that you love deeply and they kind of look at you with disgust and you're just like, oh no, what did I just say? I didn't say anything. And he looks at me and he goes, wow, shame on you. Shame on you for being that naive that you think because your name is John Haddad and you're a leader that there should be 1,000 people in this room for you. He goes, shame on you. And because of your attitude, the 3 people that showed up got the worst version of you because you're naive.
Hmm.
And I've never forgotten that story. And it's that same mentality. I ran that story through my head hundreds of times the first 30 days. It's like one at a time, one at a time. These brokers, they're not supposed to love me right away. Like, who am I? Could you imagine I walked into your house for the first time and oh, I love you. No, you don't. You got to get to know me. You got to get to feel me out. You got to get to understand me. And that means that I have to let my ego go. I can sit there and say, oh my God, well, screw that person. I'm not going to talk to them. No, that's not how this goes. Hey, are you willing to have a conversation? For those that were willing to get on the phone with me, those are the ones I wanted to get in front of. And it's crazy because one by one, 1,000+ conversations later, legitimately over 1,000, here we are now, and we're getting insane traction. People are super excited. The community is just changing the momentum. The Facebook group that we have is getting so much cleaner in terms of the messaging and the positivity. That's all people want. So we have so much more work to do. But truly, Chris, I've been craving an opportunity like this to just challenge me, to push me forward, to really help propel myself because I haven't had this kind of challenge in the longest time. And when I tell you I'm enjoying it every step of the way, that is not an exaggeration. This has been one of the most difficult yet rewarding things that I've done. And it has not been that long that we've been at it. So God willing, a lot more to come. And I'm not going to stop. It keeps me inspired and keeps me going.
Yeah, you're just a better human than me. I'm a fighter, and I have a big, huge fear of not being liked. And you just tackled it. Like watching from the sidelines of how you handled this is just simply amazing. Like, did you ever have anyone that just wouldn't have that conversation with you?
Oh yeah, tons of people. Listen, tons of people would not have the conversation, but and here's what I'll say, and I'll tell everybody: if you're willing to post it on Facebook but not pick up the phone to call me, like that's on you.
You're weak.
That's not on me. That's the one thing where I don't like play around with. And I've reached out. Hey, give me a call. Give me that. Like, give me that. Just get on the phone with me. If you don't like it, that's totally fine. That's completely and totally fine. And again, like even on here, you guys remove the comment. I saw it. Like somebody posted, it was like their name was like trigger leader or whatever it is. It's like
Oh, they did?
yeah, it doesn't matter. Like it's okay, right? It's okay. Like people's thought process says it doesn't matter. My job is to call. My job is to let my ego down. And I realize that not everybody's going to like me, and that's fine. But what you won't take away from me is my work ethic. And you can see it. Like that's been my thing is like, we're going to keep working and we're going to make sure everybody sees that we're working, because complaining, you and I both know, only lasts so long. If you want to keep yourself surrounded with people that complain constantly, think about what that does to your psyche. Think about what that does to you mentally, and think about what that does to the people in the groups that you're around. You're poisoning that group with the constant negativity. So my job is to try and bring in the positivity, showcase to people, hey, here's how it's done, and then just showcase to them through my effort and my work ethic and our community and the changes we want. And God willing, right, they want to have a conversation. But if they want to stay positive or they want to stay negative all the time, that's on them. I can't control it outside of, hey, give me a call. I'd love to talk to you. I gave my
Yeah.
cell phone number to everybody. It's literally my direct cell posted all over the Facebook page for anybody to call me.
What I found is the people that make most of the comments still makes me mad, by the way. I didn't even see that thing. You got quicker eyes than I got, but uh they normally don't produce anyway.
Ooh.
But yet you care for them.
Yeah, always.
That is just such a cool gift that you were given, and you're like, look, I still care for you. I still want you to be successful. I still want to help you in your business. I still want to put speakers in front of you. I still want to be out there. I'm still going to travel. I'm still going to continue to keep going. You can't stop me. And it never hit me. I wish I would have used you as an example, so I'm going to use it now in front of everybody. Is this: I said to my loan officers last week, change your soundtrack. You're playing the wrong song. The song of the negativity, just what you said. Change the song. And I'm like, Jonathan, you play the right song. You play the right soundtrack. And like, it just keeps you going. And so many other people, we play the wrong song. And I'm like, if we just change the soundtrack, you'll change your career. Like I see Tom on here. He don't play the wrong song.
Never.
He don't play that. He plays the right song. And it's on repeat. And I think that's just a gift you've been given.
You know what's funny? We were just talking about this the other day. We're on the mortgage mornings, and I was just talking about like getting hyped, getting ready, and I was telling them about, you know, whenever I go to have like if I have to deny a loan out, if I have to have a tough conversation with an agent, I was like, yeah, I have a song, you know, that's nostalgic for me, and I remember growing up, and I would always listen to the song, made me feel good. And they're like, what's the song? What's the song? And I was like, a little embarrassed to tell it. And I was like, all right, listen, it's my mom. All right, she was born in the '70s, but it's Stevie B's Spring Love.
Oh, yeah.
And like everyone starts laughing because everyone knows the song, but legitimately my team knows once that song's playing, if they hear it, they're just like, oh God, tough conversations coming in next. And but to your point, I know you're talking about the soundtrack, but even the actual sound itself, you're not wrong. Like playing and getting yourself into that mode, into that moment, regardless of what it is a really big deal. And the one thing I'll tell you too is this, Chris. I won't get into, you know, too much detail about this side of it, but you have to understand something. I When I was 12, 13, 14, life changed a lot for my family and I. And you know, there was a Christmas, I remember my mom coming home, 14 years old. She's like, "Hey, there's just not going to be as many gifts this year." And I remember her bawling her eyes out. So I worked at my uncle's dollar store. I would literally go to school, I'd get picked up from school, I'd work till midnight, I'd get dropped off back at home, and I'd go back to school the next day and I'd do it over and over again. I can tell you this with confidence because I am proud of it. I used to be so embarrassed by it. I put gifts under the tree that year. I still remember buying my brother a Carmelo Anthony jersey, the Denver Nuggets, the top matched the bottom of it. I remember buying my mom earrings from Westland Mall here in Michigan. So if you think like this is tough, you're just mistaken. I've been on the other side of what tough is. I really, really have. I've been on the side where nobody wants to help. I've been on the side where nobody's just offering me a hand to take care of something for my family, even though my dad did that for a lot of people. We never got that reciprocated. I had to dig in internally and figure it out and help my family out. You can't talk to your 13, 14-year-old friends about stuff like that. They're not interested in having that conversation.
Right.
So my life was just different, as I know there's so many other people. And the cool part is this, Chris, you said, you know, doesn't matter from production. No, it doesn't, because even, you know, all the books, even if you don't like some books or you like a bunch of them, there's still one thing you can learn. And that's the approach I take with each person that I talk to is, hey, it might not be the craziest story in the world, but there has to be one thing I can learn. And maybe they never got support before, because I know, not to get emotional, but I know what it's like not having real support. And I'm talking about at a level of safety, like Maslow's hierarchy, the constant things that you actually need. I was missing some of that safety when I was a kid. And so I never forget about that. I really don't.
We're I feel like you've made a huge headway in AIM, coming from that start, watching that whole journey, going all the way, watching you go on the road, away from your twins. I know what being on the road is like. It's hard. You think it's fun, but it's not. It's hard. You get to where you hate it. Um, but now you have AIM Fuse coming. And for everybody listening, what are you most excited for? What if you're a broker that is out there and you're on the fence of should I come, shouldn't I come? Like what would you tell them?
Look, I think the biggest thing is sales, right? We had a webinar that we did 2 weeks ago, how to sell FHA and VA streamlines, 24 hours, 800 registrations. We had 450 people on from start to finish. We've received massive influx of people that want the recordings. How many people said this was great? This was awesome. We're here to talk about sales, actual real strategies and things that you can implement today. It's no more ideas, right? These breakout sessions are awesome, but it's also giving you tangible things in your hands that you can take back and do. Different sales techniques, how to do a pedestal sale, how to do a pendulum sale. I'm learning that a lot of the community, not everybody knows about these sales, right? How to structure them, how to set it up, how to sell a client on bringing a payment to close, how to have that conversation, how to call your past clients. I mean, there's one statistic to me that just blows my mind. I came from retail initially.
Hmm.
So a little over 650,000 cash out refinances in 2023. 650,000. Mortgage brokers accounted for 122,000 of them. That's it. That's it. 122,000. And if you think that retail didn't call your past client and and get them to do a cash out refi, you're very mistaken. You just truly are. That's what they're paid to do. That's what they're buying leads for and getting all those opportunities. So even showcasing to the broker space, hey, here's a couple things that were done, correctly, and here's how you can implement them in your business right now. The amount of loans we're helping people write is absurd. And that's, I think, the biggest focus. And we just have to flip people's mindsets. Don't make the assumption for your consumer. They've been struggling as well. They've been hurting. So how do you make that call? How do you go into that call? How do you really dive into the psychology of it? And how do you set yourself up to be the most successful when it comes to doing an actual sale? Because the refinances are coming back and you will miss the wave if you're not prepared.
Yeah. So, I mean, staying in that focus of AIM and why you should go to the Fuse event, which is get the tactics, figure out what you need to do, change your bit, write a business plan, and be able to go back to figure out a way to take advantage of this new market. Your speaker lineup is insane. You have tons of people just willing to basically just say, here's my whole, this is how I do it. And I love that you have a community just willing to share. Um, can you give us any secrets about AIM? And one, let me ask you that. Can you give us any secrets about AIM Fuse that you're most excited about?
Yes, I can. Um, so it's something really special. Just from my company's perspective, I'll be kind of talking a little bit about it at Fuse, and I think people will be super excited about the announcement that I'm making, and I think that'll be a really really big deal for us. So I'll just leave it at that. Okay, that's my little teaser there.
Okay.
The other portion of it, honest to God, uh, the Hall of AIM. For those of you that are able to attend, that Sazerac room, the Gatsby theme is going to absolutely blow people's minds. We are excited to be bringing Hall of Fame consistently to our Fuse events every single year moving forward. That's a little secret. There's some really cool things that we're doing there that I think people are going to love from an award standpoint. And then from the actual Fuse itself, it's the connections that we're making outside of Vegas. It's been in Vegas for so long, and just seeing people in a different element where we're going to be just in New Orleans, obviously being able to connect and have more deeper conversations with the community is also something I'm beyond excited for. And so is our team at AIM. They've been working so hard behind the scenes to put this together. We're running lean and mean. And so I know they're going to have the smiles on their face. So if you see them, tell them thank you. Please, please, please tell them thank you. That'd be a really big deal. for them and for us, because they're doing so much work right now to make this a really special event. And then just a couple of the panelists, we're going to be releasing those here in the next week or so. I think you're going to have you'll be excited for that as well, just to see who's going to be on the stage. And some might shock you a little bit, but that's not a bad thing either.
No, I like a little shock.
Yep.
Little shock and awe.
Yeah. It doesn't hurt.
What, you know, what I love is that you go into an event and you could walk away with 10 things that are going to double out your business for 2025 if you're just willing to listen and then go back and implement. If I'm going to go, like, you're a good implementer. You're a good
Thank you.
implementer. And what are like one or two things that you would want to say of, I'm going to go to an event and I'm going to come back with all of these ideas. Like, you got this notebook of all of these ideas. How do I implement 2 or 3 things and make sure that I actually do it?
So I'm a bit different with this, just because I have terrible anxiety. And so what I used to do at events when I would go is, like, I'm trying to absorb all the information, and then I'm like trying to take notes. I'm not paying attention. I'm trying to get everything down. And again, through my mentor, just having conversation, it's like, look, you're not going to absorb everything. It's nearly impossible. So what he did say is, when something hits your heart and it feels really good and you feel super excited about it or inspired, that's what my focus is. So, for example, I just did AmpCon with Renee Rodriguez and Maddie Rodriguez that they had in Dallas. And for me, there were so many great speakers and so much great context. But one of the things is, there was a speaker up there, name was Charlie Rocket, and he does this thing for kids that have cancer. And it's he drives around in this dream bus, literally built a bus to help kids fix their dreams. But he said it's not just one dream that they do; they actually follow up, so they never get back in that position again. And just to hear those stories, there was one specific story. I believe it was a young child in Florida, and she had stage 4 cancer. And what happened was, she was just trying to save money. Like, she wanted to go to Hawaii, I believe it was. And so she was selling these bracelets. And so he solved the dream. But what he also did is, he said, hey, let's help sell your bracelets. They sold like $500,000 worth of bracelets. And her cancer's regressing, believe it or not. It was stage 4, and now it's like gone. And I'm not saying it's the power of positivity, but these families, when they get to their last hope, they go to GoFundMe because they just don't know what to do anymore. So for me, it's like the belief in a person and watching them smile in that success. I'm not saying that's the reason the cancer regressed. What I am saying is, I'm pretty sure it helped quite a bit, having that confidence, having somebody believe in you, and having this young child pursue an entrepreneur's dream at that age. So the belief in another human being, that was one takeaway that I had from that. But again, I have goosebumps now talking to you about it, because it hit my heart. And I think about our people. I think about our community. I think about AIM. I think about my family, my wife, my kids, my brother, my mom. I think about all these people, because it's like, do they need more of that? Do I got to be that person? So that's just one example of how I do it. So I pick 1 or 2 things, and I really go down crazy rabbit holes of understanding whatever it is that's trying to be taught to me. That's just a personal preference.
I want to get into some LO coaching stuff, but one of the questions is, what is Hall of AIM that came up? You want to address that real quick?
Yeah. So Hall of AIM, it was an event that was separated from Fuse, but it's celebrating some of our top of the line mortgage brokers. It is an invite only. If you're VIP, there's opportunities for you to you'll have tickets automatically if you're a VIP member. But a lot of it is invite only. We're celebrating the best of the best. There's roughly 12 awards that we give away. This year was really special. First time we've ever had it voted on by myself and the board. First time we've had a board here at AIM. So that was really cool to be able for us to go through it and select it and go through our process. And then we're going to be formalizing this process next year as well. But we want to make it a theme every year. This year was the Gatsby theme. It's one of my favorite books, The Great Gatsby, and just having, the way people dressed and the way they were having conversations and throwing the big parties. So this year's a Gatsby theme, and we're going to bring a different theme every year. But this is about traditions. It reminds me a lot of the guitars that you have, and just the way you gave them out, the buffaloes that you have so many really unique culture things that I love when I visited Windsor. And we want to bring that same idea to life here at AIM and do it every single year consistently. So Tom Hollis, thank you for putting it in the group chat over there. But yeah, you can take a look. It's going to be really special.
You ready?
Oh, always.
Okay, cool. If you're going to start all over as an originator, what are one or two things that you would do different if you were starting over tomorrow?
So here's what I'll tell you. If I was working, so number one, working for, a decent size shop to figure it out. And the reason I say that is the first thing I would do is I would ask for every dead loan that they have. And I would ask to allow them to let me work on it inside of my LOS system so I can figure out why the loan died. That's something that I make my LOs do now. And it's one of the most impactful things that they can do. They have to send me a report. They go down through the findings. They read the findings the best that they can. And they basically send me why the loan's not working. And so, approved and eligible loans, refer eligible loans, refer with caution. I have these ones that we get every month. We run the same ones over and over again is how we set it up. But that's the first thing. Like, you got to look at as many dead loans as you can so you can understand what it actually means to write a loan. A lot of LOs, when they're new, they don't read the findings. They don't even know how to read the findings. They take the application, they get all excited, they run it through, they don't realize what's going on or why it's going south. So that's the first thing that I would do. Dead loans, dead loans, dead loans. Work on them the best that you absolutely can. Number two is structure for your social media. I don't care if you don't know what you don't know. I don't care if you haven't written a loan before. Guess what? You pass the test and you legitimately know more than 99% of Americans about mortgages. So act as if. I don't care about imposter syndrome. Get that out of your vocabulary. Everybody was once an imposter until they got great at their craft. It's that simple. And so those two things, to me, you cannot miss out on that. Dead loans and a cadence for social media. And ChatGPT will do all the work for you now. You have no excuses, but you get to build your brand that way. And we have multiple examples here at my company of people executing at the highest level of doing those two things, never did self-gen business, and now they're leading the charges.
Biggest tactic to get a new realtor relationship?
This is easy. Be a business partner, not an order taker. Okay. Calling real estate agents and telling them, I'd like to take you out for a cup of coffee. I'm not saying it doesn't work. Let me be very clear with you, but I'm saying how many lenders are calling them. Here's a question I ask all my agents and all my team's agents whenever I get to talk to them and meet with them. If we were on an island and you had to build a business, who are 5 people you would want to help you build that business?
So good.
If you're not in that conversation, just know you're not doing a good enough job with your agent. So I love to do quarterly reviews with my biggest agents. For example, one of my biggest agents, we go over everything. How many pre-approvals did we lose? How many did I lose? How many clients did they lose? I go over all the revenue they help bring into my company. I let them see it. I don't care. I'm a business partner to you. I hold them accountable. We also have a point system that I can actually share that we hold our agents accountable to. We built our own internal point system for these real estate agents, and my team holds them accountable. And also, don't walk on eggshells with agents. Hey, just so you know, I'm the type of person where accountability is very important to me. You holding me accountable and me holding you accountable. I want to make sure, is this something you're open to? Is me holding you accountable? The agents will say, yes. Right away, Chris, I stop. I say, well, wait. It kind of makes me nervous that you said yes so fast because, Chris, you didn't ask what it means for me to hold you accountable. Would you like me to walk you through that first to make sure you're good with this? I walk through that. I can show you the point system and send it to you, Chris. You can send it out to everybody.
Yeah.
But after that conversation is had, I then send an email recapping because what do agents do? Well, I don't have time. Chris, you told me last week, here's the email, that this is something you wanted to do. Is there a reason we're changing? John, what if they get frustrated? Then they're not the agent for you. I don't want to work with people that get frustrated about feedback. I'm just not interested. I'm not interested. So be a business partner to your agents. Hold them accountable. Imagine calling them and saying, hey, I'm not here to step on any toes. I know you probably work with the preferred lender already. I'm simply calling because I believe there's an opportunity for you to not miss out on any of your past clients leveraging this new technology that we're bringing to the market. Huh?
Love it.
What do you mean? So
Love
different ways for you to get into there. Aaron,
Hey,
yes,
would
I
you
will
get me
absolutely
that?
send that.
2 things. Would you get, just so I don't get, my brain's going to go to the next, just like you, but would you get me the link for the point system? And 2, can I get the link for your Earl presentation that you gave so I could share to the audience?
Absolutely. Earl presentation. And then this is coming right now.
And then if you want that, you can chat, put a chat in which one you want, and we'll make sure we provide it to you. Cool.
Chris. Yep. And then I am sending you the point system now, and you'll be all set with that.
So we'll get you both. I know, Aaron, you just asked for it, so we will make sure we take care of you on that. So if I am new and I don't have a lot of leads to give, and I'm a lender and I'm working these realtor relationships and I'm trying to be a business partner, but I don't have the experience, Jonathan. What advice would you give me? Well, I've
So it's
refis for so long, and I haven't converted to the realtor relationship, which uh you might be a little late, or I'm brand new as an originator today. Like, what advice would you give me?
so we have people like this that actually on my team directly, and it's crazy to just watch them transform. The first thing I'm going to tell you is find somebody that knows what they're doing first and foremost. They are everywhere, everywhere. Don't pretend like they're not. There's someone out there that's willing to mentor you and have real conversations with you. Number two, you have to be open to feedback no matter what. Listen, with my team, this is my team. I'm the type of person, you work with me directly, you work on my team. I'm the type of person where it's like, look, when I say jump, I'm looking for someone that says how high. That's just where I'm at I'm just being real. That's where I'm at in my career.
Yeah,
I have the business. I'm bringing in a lot of business. I'm bringing in a lot of agents. I'm having conversations with people. And
yeah,
so if you don't follow that lead of that mentor, you're going to set yourself up for failure. There's people that know how to do this at a high level, and you got to be bouncing those ideas off them constantly and consistently. Number three, teaching them how to be great networkers. Okay, there's a skill to it. So what do? We go to networking events together if you're a brand new loan officer. But the first networking event, if it's not me that goes, I have my leader Gabby, she goes as well. But your job is just to watch me and take notes. That's your job. That's literally it. That's all I have them do. The first meeting. Well, John, should I meet so and so? Nope. Literally everything I do, write it down. Well, John, what if someone talk to me? Tell them you're busy. And then when we leave, I want to know what they're paying attention to. This is a really great tactic because you can see how hyper aware that new loan officer is on what they actually can grasp or can't grasp. Some are very high level. Oh, John, the way that you set up the conversation was great. How you went in for a handshake first, how you carried yourself, how your presence is. And then some are much more general. If they're general or extensive, that's fine. I need to know your baseline. And then we walk through and build out a process together. Those are the first three things that you can do that are a really big deal. And then number four, I teach them how to interview. So we do a ton of content for our agents. We do their video reels for them. But you have to make it exciting. And what I don't like in interviews is, all right, like how much business did you do this year? No one gives a shit. Excuse my language. I want to pull out, hey, I'm going to teach you how to extract. So their first realtor podcast, I do it for them. And again, all they're doing is watching. How do I pull out questions? I never prepare my questions. It's just a list, like asking them questions like, for instance, Chris, hey, outside of your friends and family, who's somebody you consider a hero? Making them really
great
think
question.
and think about it. Now, when they leave, I'm giving them their reel when they walk out
Yeah,
to the real estate agent. But again, I'm teaching my LO how to interview agents. And these four things, especially if you're new, you become very dangerous very quickly.
yeah, that is so good. Hey, let's play a little bit. I'll have you be the agent. You would like he wants to talk about Zillow, and you're asking me to buy Zillow leads.
Okay. So
You ready?
you're the client. Okay.
No, I'm the loan officer.
Or that's what I'm sorry. You're the
Yeah, yeah.
LO. I'm the
I'm the
agent.
loan officer. You're the realtor, and I've called you, and you're like really interested if I would be buying your Zillow leads.
Okay.
Ready?
You want me to be difficult on you? What do you want me to just go nuts?
Let's go meet. I
Medium?
don't care. Sure, however you want to do it.
Cool. Listen, Chris, I'm between you and another lender right now, and just between us, like it's going to have a lot to do with our Zillow leads, and I'm hoping to see if that's something you're interested in doing.
So, do you figure that most of the percentage of your business is coming from Zillow?
I think so. I would like to think that.
So, what do you think your average conversion is with your Zillow leads today? Because some of the best in the nation's at 1%.
You're so good. I think I'm probably hovering about 2, maybe 3.
So, you're the best in the nation.
I mean, if I were to really look at the numbers, I don't really track it the best way possible, to be very upfront with you.
So, I'm so curious and excited to be able to do it. I'm not saying I'm not interested, but how fast do you engage to a Zillow lead once you get it? Are you under 30 seconds, or where are you at to be able to get to that?
A real side note: are you gonna? This is recorded too, right?
I hope. I don't know.
All right,
Yeah.
good. Well, just because this is how you take control of a conversation.
Right.
I've been talking to my team about this, which is
Okay.
like, I love. That's why I'm smiling right now because this is so good. So Chris, I definitely. It looks like I'm just under a minute, actually, right under a minute. It looks like.
So do you actually track it, or are you guessing?
I have follow up boss, and I think it's pretty close, is what I use, but I can't tell you with absolute certainty that it's that.
I guess my last question is that how big is your team to be able to handle the additional leads that you want me to purchase? Because I would hate to have purchased and then you not have a team to be able to handle it.
This is so good. Y'all, listen, for those listening, this is literally how these go. So I have some Zillow with some of my big agents, but to Chris's point, I literally make them, I sit with them and listen to how they cold call. So like my one thing is, okay, no problem, but I have to sit with you for 3 hours to see how you work these leads.
Right. Which
And
they don't want.
dude, you change the power on this like crazy because of how much you know. This is gold right now. This is gold.
So the answer is they haven't added anything, but we're looking at it, correct?
Yes, we're looking at it.
Look, if I could show you another way to get in business that we could do less leads at a 35% conversion and you could increase your referral opportunity, would you be interested in looking at me instead of buying Zillow leads?
Yeah, I'd be open to that conversation. I never had anybody kind of talk to me about that before.
Because the number one first step I want to do is, Jonathan, how many people that you have pre-qualified right now not converting?
I mean, honestly, I probably have about 5 in the pipeline not converting.
So if you have 5 people not converting right now and they're pre-qualified somewhere else, correct?
Yes.
And if I could convert one, would you get paid more?
Yeah, I mean, that would be more money in my pocket, correct?
So if you could give me those 5 opportunities that I could figure out a way to convert one, would you think that that would be a better business model than me buying your Zillow leads?
If you're that good, I feel like that's a conversation I'd want to have.
So I feel like, Aaron, this is the way to convert from Zillow back to value that you can give. And asking a realtor of the unconverted pre-quals is money. Would you agree, Jonathan?
100%, Chris. It's the power. Listen, you have to know more than the agents. And God, that was so good, Chris. Sorry, that was great. We were just my team. I was just telling them this. Like, take the power back, and you can do it by asking simple question. Hey, what's your conversion numbers? Huh? What? No, I was just curious. Like, you want me to spend on you? No problem. The one agent I do it with, Zillow, I went to his office, and for 3 hours I sat there. Probably the best cold call I've ever heard in my life. He's actually going to be at Fuse. He's presenting.
Oh, great.
He still does 100 listings a year, all cold calling. But
Wow.
it's far and few, but he's the only one where it bit me in the ass, y'all. Okay. One person out of all the agents that have tried this, I was like, all right, well, I guess it makes sense with you. This is great. But to Chris's point, they have no idea. And it's your job to call them out on that BS. That was so good.
Biggest mistake you've made in your career?
Procrastinating to rip the Band-Aid off for bad news.
So good. So hard. Me too.
That's the worst. It's still always, it's still always difficult. It's just the process is easier now. But early on, like, you want to be yes to everybody, and even to your clients and to your agents. And I tell my team, and I know it's hard when you're new, where it's like, well, John, it's my only agent. I get it. It's your only client. I get it. But here's the truth. You got to respect yourself. You got to respect your boundaries, and people will respect you more when you rip Band-Aids off faster. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Like, I had one today. I called the agent, one of my LO's loans, actually, for him. It was supposed to close tomorrow. I was like, look, it's closing Friday, right? The agent let me have it. And all I did is I said, look, I know you're frustrated right now, but I'm here to help you. Would me calling the listing agent benefit you and make it a little bit easier for you? They said yes, but I resolved the problem for them. And now that agent still loves us, right? She was like, thank you for doing that. I've never had a lender do that before. So I took a problem and turned it into something, but I didn't wait to rip that Band-Aid off, although I got the news yesterday. So I had to do it this morning. But either way, do not wait. It's going to absolutely crush you. It's called loan anxiety. Don't pretend you haven't had it. We have all had loan anxiety.
For sure.
You know what I'm talking about. You're up at night. You're probably pouring a glass of Jack Daniels. All right. You're ripping it back. You're stressing out, and then you're waking up the next day into more anxiety. I know the feeling more than you could possibly imagine. You have to stay away from that, or else this is going to be a very difficult career for you to continue down.
Yeah, and I think I want everybody to recognize what you did, which was you owned it. You didn't blame anyone else. And when you do, you also recognize that they're frustrated. And many times our customer just wants you to say and understand they're mad. And then you come to the solution, and the solution is Friday.
And that's it, right? We had a fix, and we had one. You just have the conversation. You just jump on the call and just get it out of the way, and do it in the morning, y'all. Please do it in the morning. You No matter what you think, John, I can compartmentalize. Okay, so can I. But what I can't do is like midway in a meeting at 12 o'clock, I'm thinking about that loan from this morning that I forgot to call. I'm just too busy. You're not. You're not that busy to make a conversation and a phone call like that. And I promise you, you will thank me later. You will thank me later. You'll thank Chris later because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, it is. What As we're getting ready to close, and I don't know if anybody's got any questions you want to ask Jonathan, but if you do, put them in the chat. We'll make sure we get them answered. But what are you doing to feed yourself today to be able to stay ahead? Like, what are you doing to make Jonathan better?
So, one, I have a therapist. I have a business coach. I have a lot of conversations with my wife. I think the biggest thing for me right now is planning. I've lost, not having as much time as I used to have is taking it's harder for me just because I have young kids and a third on the way. And obviously, my wife being pregnant. And so, not keeping everything internal, which I'm not used to. Usually I keep everything very, bottled in. And
Mhm.
so having these people in my corner has been a really big deal.
Mhm.
Also, sharing my goals is something I never used to do with people because it's like personal to me. But just telling people that I trust my goals, and
Yeah.
then they check in on me weekly. When I talk to my business coach, my therapist, Renee Rodriguez has been an absolute massive help for me as of late. But
Yeah.
my therapist knows my goals. We had a conversation this morning and we talked about them and how close are you and what are you struggling with? What are you dealing with? You cannot keep things bottled up. It's going to absolutely crush you internally, no matter how good you think you are at processing or dealing with information. You need people around you that know what you're standing for. And if you fall short, who cares? Let them hold you accountable. Don't be embarrassed by it. I think that's helped me be as effective as possible when I don't want to wake up at 4 a.m, when I don't want to work until midnight, when I don't want to take the coaching calls. Like literally, I'll text them and they'll say, "Well, isn't this what you signed up for?" I'm like, "Oh shit, you're right, I did. All right, great. Put a smile on your face. They need you." And so that stuff's really helped propel me forward.
Great question. When do you set time aside for yourself?
So I'm getting better at this. I'm not good at it right now. I don't want to, Nika, how are you? I don't want to pretend that I am good at this right now. I'm doing a very bad job. What I will say is my calendar is amazing, and like my time with my wife, my time with my kids, it is all planned. And that was a difficult conversation at first for my wife. It's my wife, right? So when I'm telling her, "Hey, I got to put you in the calendar," that first combo was like, "Are you out of your mind?"
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Oh shit, I'm sorry. Oops, that's wrong timing." But as we talked through it, she understood, why, and now it's helped our relationship tremendously. But no, I have to do a better job of spending time on myself. Usually, honestly, Nika, it's between like 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. when the kids are asleep and everybody's asleep. And that's when I get like 2 hours to me. I'm reading Lincoln's Melancholy right now,
Mm.
which is a great book, just focusing on people that had anxiety in the past and our history, and just giving myself perspective, right? Like making myself know that I'm not the only person that's ever dealt with this kind of stress before. There's been millions of people that have done it at a much higher level, much higher scale, and so giving me that perspective has helped. And do I ever get some sleep? So no, I've always been a 4 hour a night kind of guy. I've been that way since I was a kid. I don't know why. I've had all the tests. I've had everything. I've never has not ever caused me any issues. But I do want to get that up. I mean, I want to start getting 6, 7 hours a night. I know that'll make me much more effective.
Last question. It's a doozy. You ready?
Yes.
So it's a gajillion years later, and we're standing around at your funeral. What do you want said about you?
I love this. Um, I want my kids. I want, God willing, my future grandkids, my friends, my family. I want them all around me. And the first thing I want them to say is he he put everything he had into what he loved. I think
Mm,
that's like the most important thing to me. Number two is he never regretted the way he lived life is very
mm,
important to me. Number three, it's the way I treated people is a big deal. You know, he would give the back off his shirt for somebody is something I hope people say about me.
mm.
And then number four is relentless. I hope people say this was one of the most relentless, positive human beings that they've ever met. And if I can be half the man that this human being was, I really truly lived a very fulfilling life because you guys have no idea the impact this human being made, even at his funeral, just to see all the people that were there. And I pray to God, I pray every night, I work hard to be as remotely close to that as I can. So those would be the four things I truly wish people remember me by.
I want you to know that not only you becoming, but you are that mentor that was special to you, that you are becoming that mentor to so many others. And you are not just becoming it, you are. And I'm super proud of you, Jonathan. Thank you for being on Coaching with Chris. Uh, by the way, top Coaching with Chris interview ever. And I just got to say thank you, thank you, thank you for all you're doing for our industry. I had three of your teammates here for our playbook event. Uh, uh, they're amazing. They're amazing, and what you're building with Nick Store is something that everybody should pay attention to. So thank you.
Thank you. And you got to see the other side of me on that front too. So we can save that for a different day, that story.
Awesome. See you, bud.
Thank you, brother.